Welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture are melded as seamlessly as accountants and wizards and meet at the universe of the Nexus with the Telsa and the wizards. I'm one of your
Wizards.
hosts, the Alpha Donut guy, Brenton Bestwick, alongside my co-host, a man who came into this world butt naked and kicking ass, Gregory T. Filson. And the T is for Telsa. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
It's winter's Eve.
Yeah. It is winter's eve. It is wintry here for California winter. Rain. We get more rain. I mean, we did have actual flooding with people dying and stuff here from
And
like
yet the
mudslides
drought
and
has
stuff.
not subsided.
It will never subside here because it's a desert. Apparently the lake that we get our water from is very full, so that's good. The one thing is I will say there's a whole thing about like, oh, people, we got to pray for rain. We got to pray for rain. Pray for rain here. And it was like, you know what? I don't want to be blamed in any of that. I never pray for rain. I don't pray for rain here. I pray for 75 degrees and sunny 365 days a year. So I don't want to be put in that capsule of people praying for rain. It's a desert, damn it. This is a desert. Get it through your heads, idiots. It's a desert. It's always been a desert. It's
I
always going to
don't.
be a desert until it's swept into the ocean.
Well, then it will be beachfront,
And then well, it already is. It'll just be an island then.
right? I don't pray for anything because I don't believe in anything. So I
Sure.
just politely ask the cosmos for assistance. And lately, I've been mostly asking politely for the collapse of civilization and for Mother Nature to reclaim what is hers.
She's trying out here. She desperately is
That's
trying.
true. I just am. I'm so inundated with morons that I've just come to the conclusion that this world is no longer worth fighting for. But
good way to
with
look
that
at
being
life.
said, I'm in a pretty peaceful and serene mood, which is
Wow.
funny because we pre-recorded a segment last night with some guests and it was very doom and gloom. But now, it's just like whatever one step below doom is. So, I mean, you're a wordsmith.
One step, like, so you mean like not as bad as
Yeah.
Doom?
So, like, if doom is here,
If
and I'm
Doom
not
is
talking
there,
about
yeah,
the classic first person shooter,
yeah, right. I was
because then
saying,
it's like doom, and then it's like, I guess you could say it's like Wolfenstein and gloom,
yeah.
or Quake and gloom.
I would just
But
say like maybe like Grave. Grave is
grave,
probably the
mm,
the step below Doom.
mm,
It's looking, because Bleak's not scary enough,
right.
but
Yeah, you need,
Grave is scary because
it's grave
it has,
danger.
yeah, it's grave
We're in
danger, or
grave,
you like, yeah, you're in grave danger, which means you're gonna die.
likely.
There's that chance you're gonna die.
Right.
So I would say Grave.
So there's that.
I'm glad I came up with that, honestly.
Well, I don't know that you came up with it.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that you said that, and then I came with Grave so
Oh, sure.
quickly. I was shocked that I did.
Yeah.
My brain's a little fried.
Well,
I had a
I
feeling
mean,
this morning
from what I've heard,
that
that's always been a big problem of yours. I don't, I mean,
uh,
I can't speak to that, but
uh, I for about 4 hours a day, I was about as fuzzy as I've ever been in my entire life. I, I'm, you know,
you could have been
dude.
fuzzier than the night that we did. There was a Lord of the Rings segment, and then it was the trailer reaction for Creed.
Oh
Because you
yeah,
had
that
taken
was
like
pretty.
3 or 4 Benadryl, and I got text
Yeah, I was
messages asking me
better.
if you were just drunk.
Yeah, no, I was Benadryl deep because I had to visit the cats. I felt like I was on drugs today. I wasn't. I'm doing the dry January thing. I'm not taking. I don't put anything in my system other than water and coffee at this point. And there was a 4 hour period today where I felt so fuzzy and weird, like not good fuzzy, not like fuzzy wuzzy, but fuzzy like I couldn't think. So that was weird. I snapped out of it. I'm back, but I don't know what happened there. Weird feeling.
Sure. I was a little bit fuzzy today too. Could have been the 2 lines of Coke, but
I feel like that would straighten you out.
it might straighten me out. I was gonna when you joined the Zoom, I was gonna like cut 2 lines of just like all purpose flour and just have them on the table and have the camera focusing on that and be like, whoa,
not doing that.
You weren't supposed to see that.
What's going on? Just have a little bit on your nose.
We kid, obviously.
That's straight. Yes.
As I've said before, I'm way too fat to be into hard drugs. So I got a lot of dust. Like,
I mean, Chris Farley did a lot of hard drugs.
Yeah,
you're not like Chris Farley fat, so
no.
I wouldn't even put you anywhere close to that. So
no,
you're looking svelte. I actually would say you're looking svelte, Brendan.
I've dropped a little bit of weight.
Good for you.
Yeah,
it's noticeable.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
it's also I think white might be.
No,
slimming.
White isn't slimming.
No,
black is slimming. White is.
Well, that's why I wear a lot of black.
Oh, okay.
And I wear a lot of vertical stripes, not horizontal.
Not horizontal.
No,
I'll tell you right now, horizontal doesn't look good on anyone, though. That's the thing.
Probably not. So anyway, all that aside, I don't know what this is. It's like so much fuzz. Actually, I'll tell you exactly what it is. This shirt's been sitting in a dresser because it hasn't fit me until recently. And by recently, I mean today. So in like
which shirt is it?
MTV.
Oh, I couldn't see that. All I could see was Music Vision, and so I wasn't sure if it was an MTV shirt or like some sort of weird band I've never heard of.
Music television. Cool. I want my MTV, which we'll get to that later. The wanting of the MTV, but we have 2 very special guests who, as I said, joined us for pre-recording last night from our favorite web series, possibly the only web series that I'm distinctly. I guess Red versus Blue was a web series. If you remember that from Rooster Teeth, no, it's like a Halo.
No, I don't remember that.
Like a Halo thing. Okay, but anyway, from our favorite web series PBC, we have Jessica Flaum returns.
Yeah,
to the
friend of the program officially.
Friend of the program, yeah. Might join us for some like The Last of Us and Cocaine Bear reviews. We'll see what happens down the road. And Josh Simpson, who played Jamie on PBC, or who plays him. Hopefully we'll play him again. And we chatted about season 2, and both of them had very expanded roles with joining the writer's room, and Josh's character, who was more of a bit part in the first season, is in the second season, I think, what we kind of considered the secret sauce of the second season. So it was very fun chatting with them, and we'll get to that here shortly. But before we do you have any other thoughts before we roll into our interview?
I mean, other than just saying it was a lot of fun having him on there, there is something to say about, obviously other people are watching this show, but I messaged him after, and they obviously thanked us and everything. And to kind of feel like we're on this like ground level with them, and like they listen to our podcast to like hear what we were about, and that was cool. It was cool to hear that. And we jokingly said if they ever were bought out by like Netflix, like, hey, you have to be in touch. And that's like and things like that. So it was cool that you just found the show by accident.
Yeah.
And then it turns into this actual internet friendship or whatever. So I just thought that was really cool. I mean, they're super genuine. They're super nice. I mean, I would love to get more people from that show on, and see what happens. Whether the show is a go for 3 or not. I mean, it's still a show that I think it'll stand the test of time because there's nothing about it that makes it, inappropriate 20 years down later. It's gonna always fly in the sense of that it's silly, and yet it works for accountants.
Yeah.
So, which is the funniest thing about it in a way. So
it is.
No, I just thought it was great.
Yeah. It's very it is funny that it's like for accountants, made by accountants, and this is like the target audience or whatever, but it's just so goddamn funny that it doesn't like it transcends all that. But anyway, so I think we will kind of cut to that now, and on the other side of that conversation that they were so generous to join us for will be our review of the Willow season finale. But for now, we will be joined by Jessica and Josh.
Hello, and welcome to the BXG podcast. Today is a special episode. As you all know, listeners of this, viewers of this, we are huge PBC fans, and we are happy to welcome back Jessica Flaum from the show and welcome in Josh Simpson, one of our favorite characters on the show as Jamie. Thank you both for coming in. We really appreciate it. Like I said, Brendan and I, my co-host Brendan, we love this show. We were on this very early because Brendan was looking up Danny Trejo, as we mentioned before, and this show came up, and we just really, really love this show. So thank you both for joining us. How are you both doing?
Good. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for having us, and thanks for watching the show and talking about it. It warms my heart, so I appreciate it. Yeah, good to be here.
How are you?
Oh, doom and gloom always.
Damn.
Western Pennsylvania. I haven't seen the sun since November. So
I thought you were taking.
Are dealing with some rain right now, although it's kind of subsided.
Yeah, Brenton, we got rain, so
we had flooding. School was canceled for me yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, bummer.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a teacher. We had like flooding, so people couldn't actually come to school. Took the day off.
Is that a pain in the ass as as a kid? You love it, but as a teacher, are you like yes, or are you sort of like, is it a pain in your ass?
I would have rather worked because I was just answering emails.
I see.
And so and I'm going to grad school, so I was trying to use that day as like for that, but then I was doing that and answering emails and sending out things. So all this stuff that I wouldn't have had to do, I had to do all day. So honestly, it was more of a bummer than anything. I woke up thinking this is gonna be a great day, and then it ended up being answering emails and trying to change my whole schedule around. So, but I survived, got through it. So good.
I would never rather work.
Yeah.
I normally say that.
Well, my socks got a little wet walking my dog, so pretty tough day for me too.
I mean, there's
rough
nothing
over
worse.
here.
Yeah.
So obviously, like Greg said, we're big fans. I think that there were a lot of changes for the better, length of episode, things like that this season. But what was the difference for both of you kind of preparing for the first season versus the second season, where you've now kind of been in this role, the character a little bit better, that sort of thing?
You can go ahead.
Whoever wants to.
Well, I think one of the big things that was different about this season, especially for Josh and I, was that we were both writers on it. So we were originally a part of this season specifically from kind of the beginning of it, and I have to say that was really interesting for like preparing for the actual shoot and knowing the character, because I think when you're in the writer's room and really understanding the journey that the writers want the characters to take in this season and the intention behind all the different story arcs and the lines and things like that, it really actually does give you a lot more perspective on like what you want to bring when you're actually on set and having to do it. So that for me was huge, and just really exciting opportunity to be able to do this season. And I think it really elevated so much of the project.
Yeah, I agree with that. I being in the writer's room was really fun and enlightening, and kind of made me more invested in the whole thing. So that was a big difference for me personally. I mean, the first season I had a pretty small part. I was, how many days did you do on that one, Jessica? Like 12?
I think 11 or 12, because this season I know was only like 2 days more, and I think I did like 13 or 14. So yeah, like 11.
I did like 4 the first season. And it was pretty, whatever. How do I even say this? I think I got kind of lucky because like, I don't think my character would have come back, but they did one of the days that the last thing I did on set was I got to like improvise a little bit in the talking heads. And I think that kind of saved me. I think that was the whole reason I got to be more involved in the second season, because like then they used that talking head even in episodes that I wasn't in, and then it like, why am I don't, there's no real reason for me to be mentioning that, I guess, but like I guess it's just illustrating that like I wasn't as involved in the first season, and then I think that sort of that little bit where I got to improvise helped me sort of, I don't know, prove myself in a weird way. So then I got to be involved more in the second season. And then, yeah, I mean, the big difference for me too is like Jamie in a way got upgraded. I think they were maybe I think they were maybe just being nice to me. But like, well, I mean, letting me be in the opening sequence and stuff like that. Like you usually don't let a character go from being like a guest star to a part of the main cast, but that was the most obvious difference, even though I was, as I know you guys have pointed out, sort of in my own world for most of season 2.
Josh, you very much earned it, just to be clear.
Well, thank you.
I mean, all this, and I think we talked about this probably in the pod from season 1, but just so much of the Jamie stuff that's in season 1 was completely unscripted, and like the clumsiness, like that wasn't even really a part of the character. It was just a creation of you, Josh. So you definitely earned your slot. That's all I have to
Actually,
say.
it was one of the only descriptors I had was that he was a klutz. Yeah, but the first scene that we did was when they introduced us, or the auditors, and then I just took a spill. I took it as an opportunity. I shouldn't tell you this, but I auditioned for the lead, and I didn't get it.
I auditioned for Hunter.
I auditioned to be Hunter, and I like got it to the second callback, and then it was also funny. Like I know I'm telling you everything. I shouldn't tell you all this, but I know the guy who I know Mike Whitmire, who created the show.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I didn't get the lead, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like even now, I can't get the lead. This is like whatever. And then like when I read Jamie's part, I was like, "Oh, well, this is the part I usually get, like the dipshit." So I sort of showed up to set with a bad attitude. I was sort of like, whatever this shit is. Like, and then I viewed it as sort of a challenge to do physical comedy. And then that's mostly what it was until that last day when I got to improvise like, the talking head parts. So I guess that's all I got to say.
I mean, so it falls into, what our next question is, I mean, obviously with Sarah's characters, there's an evolution that's, just that relationship evolution and also the promotion. But with Jamie, it's the different job, but also just being on the show more. So describe how the evolution, really changed between 1 and 2.
For me?
Yeah, for you, Josh.
Well, I think I didn't have to evolve much. I mean, I got to do more stuff. Like I got to be literally in the show more. But going back to the hunter or me auditioning for the lead, I'm so glad I didn't get it. In retrospect, Jamie is like the perfect part. It's like I don't have to carry any of the emotional weight of the show. I just got to be more of like, it's all funny, I think. But like whenever we were writing Jamie's parts in the writers' rooms, I think it was like, not just for me, I think for a lot of people, it was like the most fun part. And I will say, I don't know if to give Jessica a little shout out, she wrote the Telsa bit.
Okay.
So good.
Totally surprised us with surprised me. She like mentioned it when she was writing it. Like, I wrote a bit for you where you have a knockoff Telsa. And it was so funny. But like, I think that just speaks to like, I think part of the reason that Jamie became a bigger part was just, it was fun to write for him. Like probably the most fun.
Well, and I think, like you said, there's not any emotional weight to the character. He is kind of like he's there, but he's sort of like not there, which is one of our favorite things about the character. But it probably would be fun to write for that, because it's just like, okay, we have this character, we can put him in whatever situation is ridiculous as possible, because it just really at the end of the day doesn't matter, because he's not moving the story forward, he's just sort of there. And so yeah. I would kind of like, that's just like it's a blank slate sort of deal. You're not connecting to any of that other stuff. But I'm curious a little bit with that character and some of the other characters, when you're writing them, and this is for both of you, since as you mentioned, you're both writers, when you're writing those characters, how much of that do you take from, personal experiences or other characters who kind of fit the mold of what you're looking for? Because I really felt like Jamie reminded me so much of Tobias from Arrested Development, where he was just kind of like nothing was going to go right no matter what. And he was just kind of really positive and optimistic about everything.
Well, I think one thing I'll say is, I think it is pretty interesting, and I'm only speaking for myself, just to be writing on a show, where the accounting mentality is really important to the show. And obviously Josh and I are not accountants, so that's something that we kind of had to step into. And, it's difficult because these kind of office experiences, I don't work in a typical office job. I work from home. I work for a really small company. And I work in entertainment. It's not like a high growth startup like Sunriser. So in terms of like writing from our personal experiences and things like that, I think larger themes, we definitely leaned on like our personal experiences and things we could connect to. To speak for Sarah specifically, one of the things that I really wanted to see for her character this season was this idea that being liked doesn't necessarily give you like respect. And that was something that I think she really, she gained in the first season. She became a part of this crew. People really liked her, but they didn't really respect her or see her as a leader. And that's kind of part of her journey for this episode. And so I think that's something personally I connect to, but the way that it's integrated into this, accounting operations job and things like that, that was something that was really foreign to me that, we had to kind of learn how to navigate. And luckily we had a lot of people in the writer's room who could speak to that more authentically.
Yeah. I agree. I'm trying to think. I mean, there was stuff that like how much of the writing came from real life. There was stuff like when we were talking about like for instance, Sarah getting the ick with Marty.
I knew you were going to bring that up as soon as yes, true.
that was sort of like something that once that was mentioned, I didn't even know that term, but like once it was mentioned, I was sort of like, oh yeah, I've definitely gotten that before. I've definitely gotten the ick. But like that was kind of a moment where the writer's room was like, we all kind of related to that, and then we kind of tied it into accounting stuff, like they did the spreadsheet wrong or whatever. But like in terms of like bringing your own stuff in, I always do that when I'm improvising. So like a lot of the dumb little lines, I I teach improv. That's my background. Is like I improvise, and I taught it at the UCB Theater out here in LA. And one of your best weapons is your own specifics. So like even something as stupid as like that line where I was like waiting to get invited to what I thought was my birthday party, and I got an email, and I was like, "You buy one canoe, and it's all canoe emails." Is like that's because I bought a paddleboard, and then I continued to get emails about this fucking paddleboard. I'm like, I got a paddleboard. I don't want any more. So, but I don't have like cats. I don't know. There's like, you pull some of the stuff from your real life or some specifics, and then some of it's just very strange. Some of it is just like they don't yell cut, so you just keep going, and then it becomes canon.
Oh my god, that's like the incest stuff. Like that started as a joke between me and John, just about how we look alike in our characters, and then it became it just became a bit that just kept recurring. We did not originally intend for it to. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
that brings me to one thing on your side, Jessica, and then one on your, Josh, is when you did the Elizabeth Holmes bit, I was dying because I watched that show and you nailed it. I mean, I was absolutely dying with that. And where did that come from? Was that something that, was, pre-done and you kind of knew, or where did that actually come from? Because I thought that was absolutely incredible. It was so funny and so well done.
That was really funny because, so that was my episode, but that specific part was Gallagher rewrote that, who's our showrunner, Michael Gallagher. And he wrote in that bit, but originally the Elizabeth Holmes part of it was only supposed to be in the part where she's talking about like lowering the voice. We weren't actually going to dress up as Elizabeth Holmes or anything like that. But I had actually done an audition for a sketch show where I had to do a bunch of different characters, and Elizabeth Holmes was obviously really big at that moment. And so I did an impression of her for this audition. And so then when that was written to the script, I brought it up to Gallagher. I was like, oh my God, I just did an impression, of Elizabeth Holmes and all this stuff. And then in wardrobe, I saw that there was this black turtleneck, and I was like, I went up to Gallagher. I was like, do you want to just make her Elizabeth Holmes, dress her up like her? And Gallagher was like, should we do it? And I was like, yeah, I think we should. And so we did it. And so that was a day, the day of, that wasn't written into the script originally. The lines where she's going to IT and she's, trying to get them to do something for her, that was there. But the fact that it was Elizabeth Holmes was kind of a game day decision.
It was terrific. And Josh, you had written what was probably my favorite episode of the season, the Halloween episode. And I saw on your Instagram that you mentioned that you wrote it, but you also mentioned that there was a lot of improv in an episode like that. So I know you're an improv teacher, but how does that work? How do you have a show written, but then also kind of meld that improv in there so that it still works in a tight way?
For us, I mean, I feel like we're given a lot of leash as the actors. So a lot of that's like Gallagher and Josh Sims. And I know Gallagher specifically likes shooting with 2 cameras, which is, that's how you can do that. That's how you can improvise and get the coverage and not have to worry about covering your ass. And I mean, they're probably, I would assume, one of the harder parts about editing it is that we are breaking a lot. That whole scene where it was where Jamie got in an automobile accident, a lot of everything about the piano was improvised. There was even more funny stuff. There's a lot of funny stuff that we lost because people laughed.
All right, Josh. I know he's calling me out right now.
No. I'm talking about. I screwed up the editor. I watched when we were at the premiere. We watched episode 2, and there's that scene where Jamie freaks out at Dave about the donuts. I ruined Dave. I ruined Pete's mojo in that scene. He told me, he's like, you ruined just about almost every take of this. So I'm not saying I didn't do that, but how does that work? You just keep going, really.
Just keep going. Okay.
And then if you break, hopefully they cut to someone else, and then you can just do it. But you can see me break in that particular scene. Actually, there's a second where you can see my eyes go, like my eye smiling. I think it's what part? Yeah. Anyway, it also that doesn't make sense. Maybe that you could probably tell that I'm improvising when like my grammar sucks, or when like even that story, if you really add it up, is like, who dropped the piano? Was it my dad or what? It doesn't matter, but you know.
I would say
Isn't
we
that
typically get one take kind of pretty much as written, and then every other take afterwards gets a little looser and a little looser. And especially the ends kind of tend to elongate. That's how I usually see the improv go.
And you almost killed my co-host in that episode too. Brendan, why don't you describe the scene, and then Josh should tell us about how that worked.
Bump my mute button. There it is.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Jamie comes in and he's got bird fecal matter all over his shirt, and then it cuts to him explaining the story about how the bird pooped on his hat, pooped on his shirt, pooped in his mouth, followed him from a Jersey Mike's to was it a TJ Maxx or something like that, and then back again. And when the bird shit in your mouth, I was just like, okay. I had a drink and it was gone across the room. I was like, okay, I need to pause this and try to, collect myself here, because I was having a hard time getting through that scene. And that episode in general was just from top to bottom. Like, I felt like a sitcom masterpiece. I mean, it's not really a sitcom in the traditional sense, but just like it was just top to bottom one of my favorite episodes of a comedy in a really long time. And I know we were talking before we hit record, and you had said that on that same line that was something that had in fact occurred to you that you brought into the show.
I will be really clear. I never had a bird poop in my mouth. That was fiction. Fair. At least not that I know of. But yeah, that bit, I mean, thank you for saying that, by the way. It is worth mentioning that like every episode is like, we all kind of did it all together, and then people improvise. So it is like, I did a lot of the bones of that. I did write that bird poop bit. That was one I was like, I just thought it was funny. I liked writing physical stuff for Jamie. But yeah, when I was writing my episode, I had COVID. It was the whole time we were writing, I was having housing issues, COVID issues. It was a real shit show. But yeah, I had COVID and I had to walk my dog. So I was walking my dog, taking a break from writing, walking my dog, and with a mask on for those who care. And I got shit on. I got a bird actually shit on me while I was like kind of in that scene, like writing in that. I was not far from writing that moment. And this is corny, but like I was kind of in a bad place. I had COVID. I was like trying to find a place to live. I was like, had all this work to do. I was super stressed out. But like when the bird pooped on me, I actually took it as a moment of like, I'm on the right path. Like I oddly was like, took it as a bit of divine, like, okay, this is gonna be good. I should just keep going.
So
yeah.
It's supposed to be good luck if a bird shits on you. So
that's just what
is that
people with bad luck say.
Yeah, okay.
There's no way. Oh, what good luck. I have to do laundry. Take a bath.
So I think with this season, as Greg and I kind of discussed when we did the season kind of wrap up, there felt like there was some finality to it, but there were definitely two things that were sort of hanging there as far as loose threads. One being that Ricky the janitor, played by Danny Trejo, was actually the CEO the whole time, doing like a undercover boss situation to watch everyone, and then he compliments Jessica's character. And then Hunter, as we get the big culmination of the will they won't they, the whole time he gets the text that he's been offered another job. So what does this mean, moving forward? I know that there was, when Jessica chatted with us last time, that there was hope that there would be a second season, and then it was ultimately confirmed. Are we going to see a second season? Is there a good feeling
season
on that? I'm sorry, yeah, third season. Is there a good feeling on that?
You're asking the two wrong people.
Should we spill the beans that we don't have? No, I mean, I think the
Where's
best
Ricky?
answer...
We need him to spill the tea.
Exactly. Yeah, talk to the CEO, Ricky. No, I mean, look, obviously we're both super hopeful. We think there's been a lot of like great response, both from like inside the company that made it, Flowcast, but also, accountants and people out in the world and non-accountants. But, I do think with, writing television, and especially when you don't know if there's going to be another season, I think there is some finality, but you always obviously leave some of those cliffhangers, just in case you do end up getting to do another season. But I don't know. Speaking for myself, I would love to do a third season. I think there's a lot more to explore, but currently up in the air. But really, just because it just came out, it's still playing itself out. So we'll get answers hopefully very soon. I don't know, Josh, you have any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's totally, we don't, I know that like people are hopeful about doing it. It really is like, I know you talked about this. I listened to a couple of your episodes where you talked about PBC. I try to look up anything where people talk about where there's a chance I got a compliment. So I listened to these episodes. You said something in there about like how this might, I forget who said it or whatever, but I remember there was like some talk of like this type of show being made for YouTube, maybe being like it's just strange, right? And it could maybe upend some of what the streaming services are doing. I'm not I think it's even weirder than that. Like truly, like this is made by an accounting software company to appeal to accountants to get, it's not obviously heavily branded. I don't even think Flowcast is ever mentioned. It was originally in the first season, but I think they cut it.
We did like, but it was like really on the nose. It was like supposed to be kind of funny that we were even mentioning it.
Yeah.
Although I will say so Mike Whitmire plays the guy that's presenting, like that's saying Ricky, the CEO, or Charles Frankston. That guy is the CEO of Flowcast. Is Mike Whitmire, who Josh knew. Yeah.
My college roommate.
Oh, okay.
Thank God it like worked out. And I didn't, whatever. Thank God the part worked out.
I interrupted you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I forget what I was even saying. I was just saying it's there isn't a metric that like we have to meet, right, which is like, it's ultimately like, does Mike want to do it? And Mike wanting to do it at all was unusual. Like he basically took what would have been his advertising budget for Flowcast and put it towards making a show, partially because he has an interest in doing it, just in making a comedy show about accountants and his old life as an accountant. It's just a weird project. And like, it's technically branded content, and I'm wearing a Funny or Die shirt. I worked for Funny or Die for a long time. I did a lot of branded content. I've done a lot of branded content. It's the most freedom I've had in branded content for sure. And it's even like working on real shows and stuff, like there's more freedom making this than any other show I've been a part of, just in terms of like improvising even like for a branded content for like a bit about incest just to slip in and become like kind of a running gag is like, that wouldn't be allowed on a real show.
Right.
So will there be a third season? Who knows? It's ultimately like, it's whether Flowcast thinks it's worth it, and like even 2 seasons is more than we should have got. I have no clue. But I know that everyone that's worked on it loves to work on it. So
yeah,
hopefully they sign the check. And hopefully we can get more people to watch it. I mean, that's ultimately the real thing. But even if we did, I don't know what it would do for Flowcast. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And that's I think the pro and the con of it. And like we had talked about in those episodes, I think that content like this that's produced for YouTube should be scary because of the freedoms that you guys have. Then you as the cast, the writers, there's limited rule set. You're not appeasing to any board members or subscriber bases or anything like that. And I think that that's probably going to be a very attractive place to work for a lot of people because of that freedom.
I think the biggest thing, honestly, that was like limiting in terms of, especially during the writing process, was Mike was just very adamant about it being authentic in terms of an accountant's experience, which in the end is not very much limitation at all, but it was something that, like, for example, for the last episode, we have that user conference, and the last episode was so complicated to write, and there was a lot of different ideas being thrown out there, and there was stuff that, for us as, writers, as actors, we felt like was believable enough, or we felt like, oh, well, you wouldn't usually have that conference at this time, like, whatever, like, it's a couple months later, like, who cares, whatever. And, Mike truly was like, no, it's gotta feel real, or else we're gonna lose our very real fan base, which is these accountants. They want to see it, they want to be able to connect with it, they want to feel like it's real to their lives. And he stuck by that, which I feel like, in the end, when we pushed back past some of those like initial problems, we were able to find solutions to everything that felt authentic. And I think it made it better.
Yeah. I forgot what the question was.
Oh, I don't even know if it was a question. I think it was just about, the fact that we get a lot of freedom. And
yeah.
So before we wrap up, Jessica, you directed a short documentary this past year, Abortion Add to Cart. So if you want to talk a little bit about that, and then what else you have kind of going on for the next year.
Sure, absolutely. I directed a short film specifically it's actually about self-managed abortion in the United States, which has become kind of a really important topic, unfortunately, because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. This is a method that was actually pretty unknown when I first started doing this back in 2020. That's when I started developing the project. But it has absolutely exploded due to really necessity, because of so many of the really strict laws banning abortion in many states in the United States. So it's been wonderful to be able to share the film with people as basically as a resource, and also as a fundraising tool to be able to support local clinics that, at this point are really, over committed, not able to provide all the resources that they need to. So it's been a wild ride. Obviously I'm happy that the film's being used as kind of a service now, unfortunately, and just hoping to spread the word more about it.
Is this a good time to plug my pro-life documentary? It's called Life Begins in the Balls, and I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, Josh, you mentioned that you offer online improv classes, but what else can we look out for you in this upcoming year?
That's a great question. I do teach. I teach improv and I teach sketch stuff online. That's more just like I guess it's a passion project, a little bit of supplemental income, but not really my main thing like it used to be. I'm just writing stuff. I'm trying to write a pilot. I'm almost done with that. And then after that, my plans for this year are a little open-ended, I guess, but I have my YouTube channel is Josh Simpson. So like Josh, but JARSH. We got some old videos on there. I got a short film on there, but, I have some plans to make some more like videos and projects and put it up there on my Instagram and stuff. So, that's about all I got right now.
Awesome. I mean, we'll both promote you guys too for that kind of stuff too. Because I mean, just like I said, we love the show so much, that we want to promote as much as we can for anybody that works on it, and everything's it's just great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
We appreciate your guys' support. You've definitely been loyal fans and friends from day one. So we appreciated it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's PBC. It's on YouTube, Flowcast Studios. If you haven't been listening to us for the past, couple months now, I think that we've been talking about it, you get over there and check it out. It is really funny, really worth your time. And we just want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Jessica, again, Josh, both of you are obviously welcome back anytime.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Great. I'm excited to be back next week.
Okay.
All right.
I will say I listened to the episode where you were like kind of shitting on Avatar, but loving PBC. I loved that. I like Avatar. But the fact that anyone in the world could be like, Avatar and PBC?
Great. Yeah. It's not, Avatar's not the problem. James Cameron is the problem, but that's another story for another day.
I enjoyed Avatar, but whatever. Different amounts of skill going into each one.
Sure.
Why did I mention that? Anyway.
I actually saw Avatar with Josh Sims, who's one of the directors and producers on PBC. And I asked him, I was like, what do you think of Avatar you could make with the budget of PBC? And he said, one single wave, one of those CGI waves we could have made with the budget of PBC.
You could have done Edie Falco's part. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh.
I'm just glad we fit Avatar in on this episode.
Yeah.
We had a streak to keep up.
There you go.
Right. Keep the streak going strong.
It gets another mention once again.
All right. Well, again, thanks and take care, guys. So again, we want to thank Jessica. We want to thank Josh for joining us. It was a lot of fun. Really appreciated giving us some of their time. I was telling Melissa today that the funniest part of the interview actually wasn't even recorded, and it was the fact that Josh just misestimated how much time it was going to take to make chili, and so
I legit.
It was a very Jamie
something
thing.
Bad was going to happen.
Yeah.
I honestly thought there was going to be a scene where he was just going to be like, "Oh my god, I hear the fire alarm's going off," something like that, and yeah. So I didn't want that to happen, but I thought it could.
Distinct
it wouldn't
chance,
shock
just
me.
because.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It was a very Jamie moment. But yeah, we want to thank them. It was a lot of fun.
And we chat afterwards, which was cool too.
Yeah.
That was a nice chat afterwards. So yeah,
Definitely.
Cool. Very cool.
We were all Willow, or they were
all Willow.
Yeah. The season finale.
At the sky. Look how it shines for you.
And then we're all Willow.
Oh, Willow.
So the season finale of Disney Plus Willow. The rest of the band jumps off the waterfall and joins Kit and Alora as they are confronted by Eric, who has a new haircut. And he brings them before the crone, who sends them into the light, where they are tempted with the thing that they want the most. I think I was kind of out of it at that point. I didn't really care. And then Willow shows up, and he initially hadn't jumped with the rest of them. He was going to go back home to Mims. But then he shows up and says, she's Alora Dannon and she's going to kick your ass or whatever. And then there was some fight, pokey poke with some different things.
Fight, pokey poke.
Then Graydon tries to give it his all after the crone turns from this beautiful young lady to Emperor Palpatine. And then she uses the Force to knock him back into the light. And then she uses Force lightning that is red, and Laura Dannon uses green force lightning, which makes sense because that's what Luke's lightsaber is in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
And then she like blows a hole in her torso, and it was very Raiders of the Lost Ark at the very end with the claymation things.
Yeah.
And then they've saved the day at this point. Borman was going to go out fighting butt naked and kicking ass, and Kit and Jade are friends and lovers, part-time, full-time, what have you. And then there was an end credit scene that was before the credits, which I actually kind of appreciated. And it was Graydon inside of the light, and Alora's giving him this very wanton, I need someone to help me rule the world. And then Money for Nothing and Chicks for Free starts playing, which is a dope ass guitar solo, but didn't make any sense with this context.
Didn't make any sense
at all. And I've really I was expecting okay, I can see how it's gonna be like Icky Thump or something like that. Totally, but then I hear it. I hear the drum solo at the beginning of that song, and I'm a big Dire Straits fan, so I'm hearing it, I'm like, are they really going to go out with Money for Nothing on the end credits of the season finale of this show? A song that no one will get because it's from the late 70s and early 80s.
Yes.
Which is, I guess, when this movie's from, late 80s, but hey, Dad, what's this song?
What's this song?
What were your that's why I got my MTV shirt on, because I want my MTV.
Yeah.
And it fits for the first time in 2 years.
I
hated this. I hated the whole show. I hated the finale so much. I was bored for half of it, and then I was disinterested with the other half.
Okay. I would say I was disinterested, and then I just was out. It was one of those things where the disinterest was just gone, to a point of saying that I was disinterested would also include the word interested.
You were just dis?
I was just dis. I was pretty done. I was watching it at school for about 20 minutes. And I have it on my laptop, and I have nothing else going. I don't even have my phone. It's in my pocket. And I just start staring at the wall. I catch myself staring at the wall behind my computer.
Yeah.
As if there's something there. And then I kind of wake up from my daze of and this was after I was feeling fuzzy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, this show is still going on. And then I looked at the time, hoping that 30 minutes had passed, and it was only about 2.
5.
So I will say the thing that I'll say about this episode, and then we'll shift it to the larger part of it. The part with this episode was that it was very corny at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was just corny and over, it just, I don't know what was going on there. He was weird, and they were it was just a weird meeting. And then Willow decides not to join. And then he just pops up. And
okay, yeah.
And that just kind of I understand the show's Willow, but it's why didn't he just go? I don't think it changes anything if he just goes. So that was a weird thing for me. And then the end was just, like you said, there was Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then there was the green, the sky.
Yeah. He busts her out of fantasy world, and she literally, well, not literally, but very figuratively turned into Emperor Palpatine. It's oh, you're grotesque and shooting red lightning out of your fingers. Come on.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so Disney just keeps bringing Palpatine back. He's probably going to be in the MCU next. It's going to be we don't know how he got there. It's the multiverse.
What is the love affair with Palpatine? Does he have blackmail on these people? I mean, Seriously. There's something going on there. So yeah. The end, the post-credit, not post-credit scene,
right?
Also was just weird. I want you to join. It was so, I don't know.
Did her hair get redder as the season went on?
It definitely got redder. It definitely,
Yeah.
and so that was odd. And then,
Well,
yes,
I'm sure
the
that was
song-
supposed to be some type of symbolism or whatever.
Yeah, like getting redder is
More
like,
strength.
I don't.
Who
Yeah,
cares? Getting more
exactly.
injury.
And then I think it was just like the cherry on top. I'm glad you said that. When Dire Straits, the song, not actually Dire Straits, but
That would have been better
that would have been insane.
if they were just like in this like Dust Bowl city, just
That'd be sick. Or like, yeah, that would have been great. Like the Guardians thing where the band just plays the Christmas special.
yeah,
Yeah, that would have been sick.
yeah.
And
But
when
not
that
dressed
song
up
came on,
in Willow garb, like literally
Yeah.
like the headband and like the loose button up shirts and everything straight out of the like with the jean
Yeah.
thing rolled up to
oh,
the
it'd have been so sick. And I'm glad I wasn't drinking anything because I definitely would have took. I don't know. And I literally just I said out loud with no one around. I was at my house now at this point, and I'm just like, Breton. I just said your name. I didn't say any. I didn't like say. All I said was Breton. I literally just said your name because you're like the biggest Dire Straits person that I know, maybe just ever. And so when that's all I said, and then I just walked away. I didn't even finish watching the scene. I like finished watching like the credit. I didn't care if there was like an actual post credit. I just walked away.
There was
Okay.
one. I've got bad news for you. So the post credit scene was whoever the person reading the book is. Okay, because this is like a book.
Yeah.
Right. Whoever the person reading the book is closes it and puts it back on the shelf, and it says volume 1, and there's 3 more volumes.
Oh, you know what? I saw that by accident.
Okay.
Yeah. So
there are two more. There's 3 total.
Okay.
So I guess that means there's going to be 2 more seasons, and
2 more seasons.
I'll tell you what, I can wait.
Yeah.
I can
wait.
I can wait.
Jennifer Love, who it's not in this. I can wait.
It was so, like, in all seriousness, the problems that I had with the last episode, he just, like you said, he just shows up out of nowhere. And they're trying, like, Borman's prying the door open, and then Graydon's like using the magic and it's shaking, and somehow Willow just gets by all of that. He's just like,
yeah,
what, I mean, I guess we're supposed to know that he's like this powerful sorcerer, but he even says throughout the original movie and the series, like, I'm just mostly lucky, know. And so then he somehow shows up, gets through the wall or gets through the doors, gets into the chamber, gets into the light, finds them, and still has the wherewithal to, like, he's not affected by this. Like, he's not going to go in there and see like his daughter.
He's chilling
and everything. He's just like, because she's a Laura Dannon and I have the higher ground,
I'm almost surprised that just wasn't a line or some form of that line.
But it was like, okay,
I'm above you.
You've got the low ground.
You've got the lower ground.
It would be funny because he's so short. But so there was that. This episode was over the top with the cringy dialogue. Like when Borman is like, well, I figure it's about the end of the world, so anybody want to make out? It's like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
And they just look at him, they're like, you're stupid. And it's almost like it felt improv, and they're like, leave it in.
And then they referenced it again 20 seconds later, too. He said, well, you're the ones that didn't want to make out. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. And there were some other, like, I don't remember a great deal of like cursing throughout the whole season, and then in the last episode it's like, what is this shit? It's like, where did that come from? Like, that was entirely unnecessary. And
that was weird.
The other thing was that, and I felt this probably hurt the show for me, in the long run was there was this whole quest to, we have to save Eric. He's who we have to save. It's not that Alora Dannon, this great sorcerer to be, is going to defeat the bad guy or the bad girl, whatever, the crone, Palpatine. It was never that. It was, oh, we have to save Eric. And like the kid who played Eric was so stiff.
Yeah.
In terms of his acting. And I did not care about that character at all. So the consequences of the end of like, here's my magic rock. If you talk to him, he'll come back. It's like, I kind of hope he doesn't hear her, because he's kind of a clown.
Right.
Which is to say, when you say to somebody, who the hell is this clown? It's a double insult. Because not only are you calling them a clown, but you're also saying they're not even a well-known clown.
One of my favorite memes this week has been that. It's so good.
Yeah. I was glad I could incorporate that.
So good. Not even a well-known clown. That's so good.
It was like, I thought the finale was like it was just like a really, it was like a blueberry on top of just a very, very average sundae. It's like not even the cherry on top. It's just like a blueberry. Or like rhubarb on top of your sundae.
Yes. I mean, rhubarb would be not good.
Yeah. Or what's the other asparagus?
Rhubarb.
It's like asparagus. It just makes your pee smell weird. And it's just sticking out of a sundae for no goddamn reason.
Oh my God.
So what would you give the season overall?
Oh my God.
With the asparagus sundae.
Wow. I mean, I feel like the fact that I gave up, I mean, I gave up many times throughout the season. The fact that I thought this would be better too really hurts, because there was that part where I was just like, I really thought this was going to be good.
Never judge a book by its trailer.
Yeah, and
because we also thought that Lord of the Rings was going to be good based on the trailer.
Yeah,
wah,
yeah.
Wah, wah.
And I would say like the Disneyfication probably hurt too.
Yeah.
I did not like this. I did not. It felt like work, and we've watched some like not good things on here that never necessarily felt like work. This felt like work to me. I'm just gonna say straight down, like, because I could see the appeal.
Well, and that's the thing, and we've talked about this.
Like,
this isn't really made for us, I don't think.
Yeah,
it's very young adult. Very young adult.
I'll give it this. It's very young adult. It watches like that is, I guess, the best way to say it. Watches like that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, I think I'm gonna change the score. Then, like, I think it's a 5. I think it's just a straight down the middle average show. It's not a 50% out of 100. I think a lot of times people think that is like the scale. It's not that. 5 just means it's average. It's just perfectly average. It almost, and I didn't do it like this, but it is almost like a background show. It's not quite bad enough to be background, but it's also not good enough to be like fully focused. And so that's why I say it's, because not all background shows are necessarily bad. You just don't have to pay attention to them to catch up.
Sure.
And so this is, just perfectly down the middle. Yeah, that's a 5.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say that there's probably more enjoyment found if you are within what I would call the target demographic of this show. It's disappointing for me because I am a fan of the original film. Although that's one of those things where it's probably not as good as I remember it being. And it's just kind of one of those things that I look back on having seen it, and it's got like peak 80s Val Kilmer and a very young Warwick Davis. And it's, George Lucas wrote it and Ron Howard directed it. And so there's all these names kind of attached to the memories of it. And it probably, if I sat down and watched it, I was like, okay, this probably not as good. So I think sometimes you look at those things through rose-colored glasses. And I think that is maybe where my expectations lied, not necessarily with the quality of the original, but more so maybe just the nostalgia piece. And then this didn't live up to that. But in hindsight, actually thinking about the film and removing those kind of rose-tinted spectacles, it probably did live up to the movie. But again, I don't think we're the target demographic for this. So I would say to wit, perchance, that this would also be a 5 for me.
Okay. Yeah.
So media recommendations.
We literally just started watching Wednesday, first episode. I know we're catching up behind everybody else, behind all the young people. First episode is really good. So I'm excited about that. Did start the Emily Ratajkowski book, My Body, also very good. She drags Alan Thicke. It is good.
No, that Your Body is very good.
Her body.
No, I'm talking about yours. You said.
Oh, well, the book's My Body. The book is called My Body.
Okay.
So it's good. She drags Alan Thicke. She drags Robin Thicke. Alan Thicke's his dad. She doesn't care about Alan Thicke. Robin Thicke. It's really funny. So far that's good. PBC, of course. Recommend that for anyone that hasn't watched it. It's easy to access on YouTube. And scholarly writing on education and being a teacher, because I've read a lot of that now. So I recommend those articles.
I don't. Right. Here's a good. It's a good bathroom.
I did read something on hip hop pedagogy, which is actually good. I will say that was good.
I feel like I've read that too somewhere along the line.
There's a good amount of that out there, and to read about it was interesting. I had to watch a video on it too, and then write about it. But so that's it. How about you, Brenton?
I finished Cult of the Lamb, which, as I shared with you, just having a conversation about that game with our game score correspondent Charles led me to think that my car was plotting.
So great.
But that's another story. But finish that, and I think I'm actually going to take a little bit of a break from games while I put together my Vincent Van Gogh Starry Night Lego set.
Nice.
So I'll
how many pieces?
I think it's like 2,500.
Nice.
It's a big boy.
That is a big boy.
Yeah, that's a pretty big boy. But yeah, I mean, other than that, not a lot that I can think of. Not a lot else. Melissa watched Wednesday. She loved it and just finished it up recently. So she's trying to get me to watch that. But I'll tell you what, the other thing that I recommend is, and it starts Sunday, The Last of Us. It's getting very, very positive reviews over on the Rotten Tomatoes. For critics, the full season was available, and right now it sits at a 97 certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm really going to be interested to see what the audience score is for this, because the second game was very famously review bombed. So I'm curious to see if that'll carry over to the show. But we will see. I can't wait. Can't wait. I need to express. It's a Sunday at 9. This is not a happy story. Like, this isn't necessarily going to be fun to watch.
Sure.
It can be very upsetting, and from really the jump. And so emotionally prepare yourself, because it is not just Greg, but the listener or viewer. It's just it's a lot. It can be a lot at times, this story. So just steel yourself for that. And, don't expect this to be like The Walking Dead of, "Oh, we're going to kill zombies." It's not that.
I mean, I'm always prepared for sadness. I mean, Blue Valentine is truly one of my favorite movies.
I'm also always prepared for sadness because of life.
Right.
So there's that.
Perpetual sadness.
Yeah. Right. With that all being said, again, we want to thank Jessica and Josh for joining us. It was a lot of fun. And you can follow them on their Instagrams. I'm gonna pull those up. Do you know them off the top of your head? I know Josh's.
It's
Jarsh.
Jarsh Simpson. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that Jessica's is just Jessica Sarah Flaum.
Yeah.
And you can check out her short documentary, Abortion at Descartes, and you can follow Josh's YouTube channel, which is also Jarsh Simpson, and check them out, and check out PBC. And you can follow us on social medias, at BXG Productions, Facebook.com/BXG Productions, YouTube.com/at BXG Productions. That's our handle, because we handle it. We're handling it. And we'll see you next week for what will be a very fun episode. We're going to follow up a awesome interview with seeing how many Skittles I can put in my mouth. So there's that.
There's that. Maybe I'll do the same thing.
What are you going to get? One of those fun size bags?
I get the tear and share.
You don't need a tear and share. I might need two. Those things for me are tear and don't share.
Yeah, I've never understood that. I've never shared M&Ms my entire life. Apparently M&Ms are gendered now, just by the way, everybody. So check your internet. M&Ms are gendered, so it's weird.
Yeah, that is weird, because they're fucking candy.
Yeah, check the internet. It's ablaze with gendered M&Ms. So
take care, friends. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Tell your mothers.
Tell your mothers.